It's a sad day when you lose someone who's important in your life. And we've lost someone important to the entire cultural life of not just Milwaukee, but Wisconsin. On Saturday, Donald Baumgartner passed away. And if you recognize that name, maybe you were at the Summerfest grounds and you walked by the Milwaukee Ballet Building. That's the Baumgartner Center for the Arts. Or maybe you go to any number of arts and culture, or even the Milwaukee Zoo, you will see the Baumgartner's name because Donald and his wife, Donna, have been part of our community for decades and involved in so many different organizations that and the gift that keeps giving because they've been visionary and truly active philanthropists, certainly writing checks and certainly making financial support possible for many different organizations, but not just that, being very involved in boards and going to the events that they plan and really being an enthusiastic part of our community. So I'm very honored to be able to remind all of us the impact that Donald Baumgartner has made over the past decades, but also kind of go, I should appreciate that, and also hopefully inspire people to go, can I really make a difference? And you can. And so to share even more stories about the positive impact that you might not realize Donald Baumgartner has made, joining me from Milwaukee Film, Managing Director Kristen Heller. How are you, Kristen?
I'm great, Sandy. Well,
I was just going to say,
sad, but
yeah,
great to be here and to share about this legacy of life.
I'm glad. And so my condolences to you as well. I've said that to all of my guests because Donald Baumgartner and his wife, Donna, have truly worked with every organization. And it's funny to me, Kristen, because as I said, you're a younger woman. And I guess I just feel like, when we talk about these echelons of people who've made their wealth in industry and business and are retirees and just like, I don't know that you would have worked with him. And you're like, oh gosh, yeah, ever since Milwaukee Film started. So tell me about your experience with Milwaukee Film and with Donald Baumgartner.
Sure. So my experience with Milwaukee Film is that I'm the managing director. I joined the team seasonally in 2011 and became full-time in 2013. And to give you the view of when the Baumgartners got involved, Milwaukee Film was founded in 2008, and they became members in 2010. So 2 years into us operating, they were members, and I think it was 2012, right as I was signing on to be a full-time staff member, Donna joined the board. And like you said, they were never a couple to just write a check and send it. They deeply believed in growing organizations, at being leaders at the table, being active voices, and they've been active with us ever since. And it's not just active in the boardroom, really coming to the movies, really being there, sharing in the experiences, having fun with it. He was such a fun character and wanted to enjoy all the art that he was helping to put out in the world.
And for him to see that Milwaukee Film had possibility, because it seems like Donald was such a visionary.
Oh, yes.
In identifying Santiago Calatrava would be this person, this artist who could really drastically improve our city skyline and attract people from around the world to our world-class art museum. Having that vision and then being able to develop those relationships, not only with Santiago Calatrava, but the relationships here within our own community to say, I see what you want to do. I want to support that in however I can.
Oh, absolutely. I think that's the thing. Donna and Donald love this city so much. They always believed that Milwaukee deserved an active, thriving arts community and deserved to be a world destination. And the fact that when you see our skyline and you see the Calatrava, and he was very active on that architecture board that brought Santiago Calatrava here, I mean, you see the impact of them. They've shaped the way our city looks, the way our city feels, the way that you can engage with the arts in our city in a really profound way that will last for generations.
What a fantastic way to describe his impact on our arts and culture community. I mean, you really summed it up right there. Now, for someone who loves going to the movies or going to the Milwaukee Film Festival, why should Donald Baumgartner's passing really matter?
Well, he believed in us from the very beginning. You have to remember, we started as a young startup, and we had very wonderful co-founders with Chris Abley and Bill Haberman. So we had people that believed in us from the get-go. But we were still a young startup with a few young people in their 20s and 30s.
And this was a festival that was not quite 2 weeks like it is now.
No, it was 11 days. And then we
3 or 4 different
became 15 days.
Theaters.
And for years, we were just a film festival. And but they always believed in us. They always wanted us to sort of, because we wanted to bring the world to Milwaukee. We wanted to bring the best films in the country and in the world to Milwaukee, and they wanted to be part of that, and they believed in that. And so they were very engaged. They often sponsored our Spotlight program, which had a lot of the big, flashy, fun ones during the festival, and those brought some of our big guests that really put us on the map. And then when we took over the Oriental in 2018, the venue was falling into rough shape and was needing a lot of repair and restoration. And they stepped up in a very major way, wanting us, because we loved this movie palace and wanted to, wanted to bring great movies to Milwaukee all year round, but also to bring the theater back to life and to fix it up. And they were one of our major donors in that, and really wanting to help us build that legacy, because like you said, he just wants generations of people in Milwaukee to have these wonderful things for their kids, for themselves, for anyone that visits, to sort of show how special the city really is.
And it's another architectural gem. This one's historic, the
Absolutely.
art museum being more futuristic with Calatrava, but to show just all the different aspects of arts that Donald and his wife Donna loved and supported. I am with Kristen Heller, Milwaukee Film Managing Director, as we continue to honor and remember Donald Baumgartner, who passed away on Saturday at the age of 95, but still active. all the way till a couple of weeks ago at the Florentine Opera Company, going to the Pasta and Puccini. So we're going to talk more about Milwaukee Film and Donald Baumgartner's impact. And I think I might know what one of his favorite films is. We'll find out some more stories with Kristen Heller next on What's on Tap.
Welcome back to What's on Tap on WTMJ.
Okay, any excuse I get to play the Dr. No theme rocks my world. One of my favorite things when you walk into the Oriental Theater is just the beauty of a 1920s movie palace, beautifully restored. And Milwaukee Film's managing director, Kristen Heller, is with me. And we are remembering Donald Baumgartner, who passed away on Saturday, age of 95. He and his wife, Donna, who survives him, condolences to her. For 4 decades or more, have been immensely involved in a variety of cultural organizations, including Milwaukee Film. And it was a few years ago, I want to say, over the concessions, and I noticed there are these cool movie posters. And then I was like, oh, I recognize that name, and it's not a movie star. And they're donor posters that honor many of your donors. And Donna and Donald Baumgartner are a James Bond poster, and it looks great. It's such a fun tribute and a fun way to help people who really are supporting the organization really feel like they're part of it.
Yes. So those niches, they're up high in our main lobby. And for the previous tenant of the Oriental, they had classic movie posters. And when we moved in, we didn't know what to put there, because we didn't want to put new movie posters, because those would have been so out of place in a 1920 movie palace. And we didn't want to put up posters for films that we had never shown yet. So we were trying to think of what would go there. And we had the perfect number of niches for our top level donors. And we dove into a very fun creative project where we matched a poster to the donor in a way. So, Bud Selig got the baseball theme poster. Chris Avely has the sci-fi theme poster because he's kind of fun like that. And then it kind of made sense that we went Susan and I have been talking this week. Susan's our executive director. How fitting the James Bond poster is for Donald, because one, fun is such a big thing with him. There were swanky cars, that was huge with him. He loved your summer blockbusters. So it was fun and active, and it just had that kind of larger than life personality that fit his joyful self. And so, that was something fun for us to look at today in thinking about this and reminiscing, is that this is a little bit of the legacy that we get to keep and look at every day as people come in and get to sort of enjoy the theater that he helped thrive.
And again, weaving a donor, a supporter into the actual organization and the fun of it, not just very respectful plaque on the wall. This was just a playful, and
exactly.
It's one of those things that I completely remember. And because I'm intimidated, lowercase I, but very respectful of the major philanthropists
Yes.
that we have in Milwaukee and in southeastern Wisconsin. And I am not ever going to be like, hey, how are you? Thanks so much. Just like, even though we're all Milwaukee nice and there isn't a lot of snootiness, I just feel like there's that respect. But now I feel like I could go up to Donald Baumgartner and go, I love your James Bond poster. And then just move on, just like I'm not asking for anything, just want to tell you that that's super fun. So it's a fun way to bridge that. And again, when we heard Maggie from the Florentine Opera Company talking about the student program that they have and having students perform, to be able to see the intention come to life when you have those long-term visions.
Exactly. And I think the fun is such an important part of it because, for us, like, we value our donors and like, it means a lot to put their names on things, but it's also fun to sort of tie it into what we do, which is about the cinematic experience and having those moments together, having those, memorable moments that you would never have had on your couch watching Netflix, like that you had with an audience in a packed house, where there was a high-speed car chase. Like, we love that, that we've been able to sort of thank those donors in that way. And that, as I take my daughter to the cinema for generations to come, that, that will stay there. And that will be like a memory that lives on in a fun, cool way that blends in with our theater.
Yeah. And what, in your interaction, how often did you wind up, as I just told you, I was like, oh, I'd be a little intimidated. How often did you wind up working closely with Donald and Donna?
Fairly often, especially at the festival, because they were active moviegoers, and so they would pull up in front with in their car. I feel like Donald, you could always see Donald with sunglasses. Kind of had a very suave demeanor to him, but they're so down to earth, and they're like would always give hugs, always be gracious, always be so glad to see us. And they came and saw a movie this year, they were active all throughout, and it's hard because you never know when it's the last time you're going to see someone. But now looking back, that feels so special that we get to have at least that last festival with him.
Indeed. We are chatting with Kristen Heller, Milwaukee Film's managing director, as we remember Donald Baumgartner, who has made such an impact on so many different organizations. And we'll talk more about his legacy. And we welcome your memories as well on the Sighting Unlimited WTMJ Talk and Text line 855-616-1620. If you have a thank you or a memory of Donald Baumgartner that you would like to share from his philanthropy throughout the arts community here. Stay with us on What's on Tap. Welcome back to What's on Tap, sponsored by Visit Milwaukee. Handcrafted, homegrown, world class. Discover more at visitmilwaukee.org. And today, we learned that over the weekend, Donald Baumgartner passed away. He is a visionary. I just did it myself. Was a visionary, major philanthropist here in southeastern Wisconsin for decades, along with his wife, Donna Baumgartner. And some people say, how do you get to be a philanthropist? I like to be that. He was a business owner. And Kristen, tell us what you know about how he started in business.
Sure. So he founded Paper Machinery Corp. in 1951, and it started as a local operation, and he grew it to a global production with many patents. And basically, they essentially they create the machinery and sell the machinery, but also manufacture paper cups and paper containers. So if you've been to McDonald's and had a soda, like you've touched something that he was a part of. It's a huge company. And we were talking about what makes him that makes someone that's one that thinks big and aims high. But if you want to think about who he is at heart, we talked about, you mentioned earlier what he did with the company when he was ready to retire. So 10 years ago, when he was 85, wanted to step back, there was the question of what was going to happen with ownership of the company. And he could have sold to an investment firm. He could have sold to something out of state, and I'm sure there was pressure for it, but he didn't. What he chose to do was he chose to do an employee stock ownership plan, basically turning over the company to the 250 employees that ran it.
Which is a lot different than taking a multi-million dollar or more.
A huge payout. Yeah. No, absolutely. And it was, I think that says so much about him because, when he talked about it at the time, in that his father was also a brilliant entrepreneur and he had 3 different companies that he sold, and Donald watched every single one of those companies leave Milwaukee, and he didn't want that. And so in a way, like he was determined that, like, no, this is going to stay in Milwaukee, and this is for the people that built it. And so, I think that shows so much about his profound loyalty, his deep humility, and like basically, and that generous heart that loved this city, and this community, and like wanted that legacy to stay here, those jobs to stay here, and for that business to continue to thrive here.
And again, paying it forward, helping that next generation.
Yeah.
That genuinely.
Yes.
Doesn't have his name on it. Here, this is what I'm giving to you. Now you carry on.
Exactly.
That's fascinating. And also when you mentioned Bud Selig being one of the Milwaukee Film donors that's on the posters, the fun-loving posters inside the lobby of the Oriental Theater, and I'm immediately, when you said he wanted it to be Milwaukee, he wanted to stay in Milwaukee,
yes.
I'm reminded of Bob Uecker.
Oh, yeah.
And, which was such an essential part of his career. Like, no matter how big he got, no matter how much success he enjoyed in entertainment and baseball, he was here in Milwaukee. And there you go, the documentary world debut, world premiere at the Milwaukee Film Festival.
Absolutely.
So just interesting, these contemporaries.
Yeah, we are very lucky that we've had these incredible legends with huge hearts that have loved the city as much as we do. And have wanted to be part of it. And their legacies will live on because of that.
We are remembering local philanthropist. Try that. Local philanthropist Donald Baumgartner. He would have a laugh. Hopefully he's laughing.
He would enjoy us fumbling our words, but that was like he was always good for a laugh that way.
I was like, at least he had a good sense of humor, so
Yes.
not being disrespectful. Local philanthropist Donald Baumgartner passed away over the weekend, left an amazing impact, and we're reflecting on some of that and welcoming your memories as well. Milwaukee Film Managing Director Kristen Heller is with me. We'll have some more memories of Donald Baumgartner next on What's on Tap.
Tell me what you remember.
A wife, a son.
And then what?
We won the war. Help me go home.
That is some of the trailer for The Odyssey, one of the biggest movies of the summertime. Milwaukee Film Managing Director Kristen Heller is with me. Are you going to see The Odyssey?
Oh, absolutely. We're showing it on something. I'm glad that you showed that you had that clip, because this is the exact movie that Donald would go. This, like that big Hollywood blockbuster, like big colorful action, lots of Hollywood stars. He would have been all over this.
I was going to tell you, we've been talking about Donald Baumgartner, who is the visionary philanthropist here in Milwaukee, based in Milwaukee, but had an impact all across the state and beyond the state, with his relationship with Santiago Calatrava from Spain, and making sure that the Milwaukee Art Museum got the, I'll say, revolutionary new wing that we still enjoy with the Burke Brise de Soleil wings. But so to know that he lived large and
he loved fun.
Saw large and brought large here as well, and is keeping the big things going with all sorts of programs to encourage new talent, encourage more philanthropy. It's inspiring, and I love that. Do you think that, I was going to ask you if you thought he'd go large with The Odyssey?
Absolutely. That would definitely have been one of his picks. And I think that's the very cool thing about him and Donna, is that it wasn't, they gave to the arts for many reasons, but one of the reasons was that they gave to things that they loved. They gave to things that they enjoyed and they wanted to go out and do. And so, like one of the endearing things that he would always tell us is that he loves our popcorn.
The Odyssey is a popcorn movie.
It is a popcorn movie, and he always was like, you guys have the best popcorn in town, and he always complimented the fact that we have real butter, and it just shows that he was such a passionate person about the movie going experience, just as he was for the opera going experience. His heart was in all of it, and he deeply I think that's why he wanted all of us to be able to grow and thrive. It wasn't just that he should, and Milwaukee should have this. It was, these are good organizations that he can help make strong. He can help us learn how to grow so that we through our missions that we provide these entertaining experiences to audiences, and that we can all sort of have that shared experience together.
And I feel like his vision, his passion, and his enthusiasm was contagious.
Absolutely.
You can't do it by yourself.
No.
And that gregarious, great sense of humor, inclusive, like, hey, come along with me on my big adventure.
Absolutely.
Was magnetic.
And he's leaving behind the legacy of these beautiful venues throughout the city where you can go, like anyone that is listening to this can go out and support the arts by buying a movie ticket, going to see the Florentine, checking out the new art exhibit. Like, just by, we might not all have millions of dollars to give, but just by going out and enjoying the arts and being part of that experience and sharing with audiences and laughing together and having these moments, like that's how you support us and continue his legacy on. That's how we will continue to thrive as arts in Milwaukee.
I feel like we are talking about a man who embraced life.
Yes.
And encouraged everyone to embrace life, and especially their creativity.
Absolutely.
She is Kristen Heller, Milwaukee Film Managing Director. Thank you for spending time and helping us get to know Donald Baumgartner even better and appreciate not just his legacy, but his spirit that I know will continue to live on.
Thank you for having me. He was so special and will be so missed, but you'll see the memory of him everywhere.
My condolences to you and the rest of the Milwaukee Film team, and thank you for coming in.
Thank you.